Isara Maglio, yoga teacher, Milan, Italy, owner of Ashwara Yoga, Italy. This is my third yoga teacher training with Neil Kulkarni. This year, I had the pleasure of hosting his training in my new yoga studio in Grottalela. This yoga studio was born out of his wise and broad-minded advice. I feel privileged to continue my growth in the field of yoga with Neil Kulkarni. His Adh Yoga Authentic Yoga System (AYS) is based on a series of very clear and valid concepts. Above all, it's understandable to newcomers to yoga and also beneficial to current practitioners and teachers of yoga. I highly recommend anyone to read his book and follow his method. Neil Kulkarni is an extraordinary teacher with a special personality and unique methods. In his teaching, you find extreme logic, special attention to techniques for yoga exercises, focusing of mind, right use of time to scan, and better organization of a lesson. During this short and intense course of 2 weeks, we have had the opportunity to study exercises, pranayama, bandhas, teaching techniques, vinyas, mantras, and philosophy, to name a few topics. Above all, as always, lots and lots of practice of physical exercises, both in the personal and practical, so in-depth study of asanas in detail, both in terms of exploration of ourselves for the creation of new exercises. One of Neil's qualities that fascinates me is that he is always able to turn my mind to ever new discovery of myself and my body. He pushes his students to form their own style, not to be a copy of others, but to know themselves in depth so as to be able in every situation to bring out their own individual capabilities and qualities. I love his approach to practice the exercises. It is direct, clear, and well studied. He is able to make any object an interesting and surprising practical tool. Also, with regard to the theoretical and philosophical part of yoga, he is able to express and synthesize very large and challenging concepts in a few simple and concise words. It really is worth to get an experience of study and living with him. There is a lot to learn. Teresa Nuvola, yoga teacher, Napoli. The teaching system designed by Neil Kulkarni, as indeed the one he formulated and termed Adh Yoga, is entirely logical, linear, and complete. Its structure is most simple. One can immediately perceive many years of dedication that led to create and improve Adh Yoga. This method is highly effective in leading a yoga class, giving the most out of each session. The same effectiveness is present in training and preparing future teachers who develop, in their students, maximum mental concentration, maximum physical results, the understanding and the study of each asana, sutra, or philosophical concept. His approach to physical exercises is extremely interesting. To study with him is illuminating, it never ceases to amaze me. He succeeds in converting any exercise into a yoga exercise, always finding unique and imaginative ways to understand the work to be done in each asana, so as to adapt it to any need, physical or otherwise situation. This is my third teacher training with him, and it still manages to astound me with the use of media out of the ordinary exercises, and practices out of the ordinary. Certainly Neil is a teacher outside the lines, for better or for worse. Filippo Lo Gatto, physiotherapist, Italy. I met Neil in the summer of 2015. I immediately realized his authenticity as a yoga teacher. I got physical and mental benefits from the classes I took with him. With time, he proved to be a great friend in addition to being a great teacher. So, I decided to join his teacher training. I studied in London for a month and in France for a half. In London, Neil's location was very far from my location. Therefore, reaching him was not regular in time. But, he was always available to me with dedication. In addition to strong teaching skills, I learnt a lot about myself, physically as well as mentally. Neil has training and experience necessary to provide knowledge of yoga in all its aspects, thus preparing student for optimal individual as well as teaching practice. The last 15 days we spent in a wonderful place in the north of France, fresh air, lots of green, rooms suitable to the practice, and the right company helped make the perfect workout. This was in addition to the continuous supervision of the teacher. I was benefited with sharing studies and practice with highly talented and enthusiastic trainees. The experience was extremely positive. Thanks for the opportunity that Neil has given me and for his sincere friendship. I wish him the best of luck and the greatest happiness possible, that his desires come true, and may he always continue to teach with passion and with happy face. May the winds always be in his favor. Namaste Filippo Lo Gato. Ariane Allo, France. I had a very good experience of the YTT with Neil. His method brings you to build up your own practice according to your goal and your capacities. He really takes the time to know each of the student and gives day-by-day appropriate work to each of them. I found it makes your learning process very efficient. He also gives you all the tips to improve your self-practice during and after the training. I enjoyed in a particular way his method to explain the yoga poses and to explain how you can teach them, with props when needed. You have first to observe and study the pose by yourself, and in a second moment you can benefit from Neil's deep knowledge about the pose. Neil also teaches how to use the space and the objects you have to practice the poses and improve them. So you can find out how you can practice in many different spaces, not just in yoga studios. I really appreciated that he encourages you to find your own definition of yoga and to clarify what is your aim by teaching yoga. I'm sure it's a very important thing to have a clear goal when you teach, whatever you teach. In his training, you may have the opportunity to teach after a very small time, if your goal is to teach, of course, and I found it very useful because you know from the beginning concrete points you have to keep in mind when you are teaching. You also have a good preparation about the philosophic basis of yoga and the theory of classical and applied meditation. Who is interested can also have very good chant lessons. Neil has a deep passion for music and encourage you to include it in your practice. For sure, you will get inspired by hearing him chanting in any moment of the day. Namaste, Ariane. Jennifer Van Wyck, psychologist, Canada. I came to Neil's teacher training not knowing anything about Neil or what to expect. All I knew was that for some reason I had to go. Neil makes being a yoga teacher accessible. He's encouraging, patient, and wise. These 2 weeks have been a deep spiritual and emotional journey for me, and I feel very ready to take on the future. Thank you so much, Neil, for your wisdom, guidance, and support. I will see you again. Jennifer Van Wyck. Geraldine Waring, France. I have completed my 200-hour Adh Yoga teacher training with Neil Kulkarni. It has been the most special 2 weeks, as Neil has the gift of working with each person's strengths and helping them identify the direction they are going towards in their teaching as well as life goals. Neil works with small groups, which is a great advantage for the trainee. He teaches with dedication, patience, a sense of humor and fun, and is a man of great knowledge and accomplishment. During the 2 weeks, I have a real sense of personal development as well as improved yoga knowledge, philosophy, and self-improvement with my practice. I have worked for 30 years in the fitness industry and fully recommend Neil's unique training methods, which are suitable for those starting out on their teaching career as well as those of experience. The 2 weeks gives you a chance to absorb and internalize the information and develop your own style of teaching, which is something Neil helps you with a lot. I particularly enjoyed the yoga chanting, as I was always shy about singing, but through this course have enjoyed the chanting and benefits it brings. Neil always chooses locations which add to the experience of the training, in nature and tranquil. My 100-hour certificate last year was in Italy, and this year's 200-hour certificate took place in the French countryside. The course has definitely given me the confidence to teach. Geraldine Waring. London, UK. July 2016, location France. Marisol Fusen, California. Neil is a unique yoga teacher. He is uplifting, inspiring, rejuvenating, and helps his students push through mental barriers they didn't even know they had. Neil's connects with everyone in his training. He takes the time to really get to know all students and will individualize each person's training to meet their goals. Neil is welcoming and makes the best chai tea. His hallmark quote is "Focus the mind." At first you might gloss over this idea, but by the end of the training you truly understand it. It might become your hallmark quote too. Neil really loves and respects all aspects of yoga, and his energy is inspirational. Neil lets his authentic personality shine through in each of his classes, from workshops to lectures to private classes. He can teach yoga anywhere. His classroom can be a park, a rock formation, a classroom, a studio, or even a small room. His light-heartedness shines through. He makes everyone feel comfortable with the power of a smile, whether you've practiced yoga for years or are a newbie who's self-conscious. Neil is fun and knows how to shake the seriousness out of us with his hilarious personal anecdotes while still conveying a deeper message. He loves music and brings chanting into his teaching. His guidance encourages his students to continue their yoga path. Neil brings yoga to life and helps students realize yoga surrounds us everywhere. His teaching is fresh and authentic. He has a deep knowledge of yoga and passion to share it with everyone. He lives and breathes what he teaches. Namaste. Marisol Fusen, Clayton, California. April 16, 2016. Ivan Ciabato Landano, pilot. This teacher training challenges you physically and mentally. I had practiced yoga exercises long ago, but my passion for meditation and philosophy has always been profound. After a prolonged search for a suitable school, I chose CTech, the authentic yoga school, for my training to improve my meditation and philosophy along with perfect mix of yogic exercises. With Neil and his Adh Yoga, authentic yoga system, you can learn to live philosophy, meditation, and yoga exercises. I found the concepts of breathing/pranayama are systematic and concrete, with exceptional methodology. Neil's teacher training is based upon the experience, dedication, and quality of an individual student. But he prepares each trainee to be a professional teacher with solid yoga practice and solid teaching methodology. I followed his steps, homework, and study material, and I was able to teach a class within a week. Even though my passion is meditation with philosophy, Neil's Adh Yoga was able to make me into a real yoga teacher with all the essential ingredients. Un beso y un abrazo. Yvonne. Nicole Elizabeth Capel, electrician, California. I'm having a wonderful experience in Neil Kulkarni's Adh Yoga teacher training. He has endless knowledge on yoga, be it poses, meditation, philosophy, or chanting, as he has spent his life in the study of yoga. From this dedication to yoga and teaching came the Adh Yoga authentic yoga system. This system has proven to be highly effective, yet simple, and is adjustable to everyone. Adh Yoga technique helped my yoga practice a great deal and has inspired me to teach. Since beginning my training, I have made a lot of progress in my personal practice in only 2 months' time. I have learned to think about yoga in new ways, and I now can say that I have a dedicated yoga practice that balances poses, meditation, chanting, and spiritual study. Our class time is very interactive and has involved practice teaching sessions for the trainees, which has helped me to feel more confident in teaching and in myself. Neil also meets with students in one-on-one sessions so each trainee can achieve their individual goals and interests. The training style is definitely that of guru and student, which is giving me a unique and tailored experience that will always be with me. I feel truly blessed to be born into circumstances that allowed me to find the path of yoga and someone to guide me on it. As I said before, I'm having a wonderful time in my training and am feeling motivated as well as happy. From my authentic yoga adventure. Thank you, Neil, for being my teacher and helping me to see that every place is the perfect place of yoga. Nicole Elizabeth Capel, Clayton, California. Stephanie Coatless, retired teacher, California. I first met Neil in the spring of 2015 when I attended a lecture he gave at my yoga studio. He was so knowledgeable. When the teacher training was announced and I found out the trainer was Neil, I very much wanted to attend. It took a bit of doing, but now halfway through my 200-hour teacher training course with Neil Kulkarni through Clayton Yoga Shala, my understanding of yoga has changed. Before, yoga was asanas, now it is bringing focus to the mind. Neil's Adh Yoga system of teaching has the student looking inward from the first. Neil believes a student must build capacity and build up to a difficult pose so as to be correct and safe once a student achieves that asana. It is all about defining your goal and logically taking steps towards it. Neil himself is wonderful. He is caring and positive. He teaches the group but also meets with each student individually and helps them first identify and then take steps towards that goal. He is beyond knowledgeable. Neil has read and studied yoga and yogic texts for over half his life. He has studied under many great masters and has been all over the world. Neil teaches his authentic yoga system to teacher trainees wherever he finds students. We have learned about meditation, chanting, OM, philosophy, and yoga nidra in addition to learning how to teach students. We must know points to begin a pose, points of what to feel while in the pose, and how to exit a pose. If working dynamically, we add how to move. It is all very logical. Along with all this, we worked on how to begin a class, how to end a class, and what teaching points to remember. We have all been able to work on personal practice goals as well. Neil is quick to diagnose what we need to do to improve our pose goal and give steps to take to achieve better alignment in said pose. I am looking forward to the second half of my training in spring 2017 when Neil returns to Northern California. Iva Jean Maguda, California. Teacher training March/April 2016. Living in the SF Bay Area, there are many options available for attaining yoga teacher training certification. Until recently, I had very little interest in pursuing such a certificate. I was notified that the yoga studio I attend was going to offer a 100-hour teacher training certificate program. I felt compelled to find out more about the training and the instructor. I talked with some of the instructors at the studio, and I purchased and read the book being used for the class, Ad Yoga, Authentic Yoga System, by the instructor Neil Kulkarni, prior to his arrival from India. At the last minute, I signed up for the class. Although there were many options for the teacher training, I believe this was a unique opportunity to study with someone that has an extensive background and knowledge in yoga. After completing the 100-hour training session, I would like to share why I would encourage anyone who has the opportunity and interest to study with Neil to do so. Neil's class provided a solid foundation for the students to incorporate their own style into teaching yoga. His logical approach allows a teaching format that can be applied to any student level. Neil also worked with each student individually to address their personal goals and concerns. It was a very educational and an enriching experience. My personal practice has expanded. I started practicing at home, and I am experimenting with adding new elements. My balance has improved physically and mentally. I feel confident that I have the knowledge to break down the poses and convey them to others. The classes and practice sessions with Neil exceeded my expectations. Neil's knowledge is not limited to the teacher training. He also did several workshops that covered yoga philosophy, mediation, and chanting. In the workshops, he would address each person's particular interest. I believe Neil appeals to a wide array of practitioners because he is trained in classical yoga but has also developed a yoga system that can be applied to today's Western yoga student. David Yarok, Michigan. Who better to learn from than a native-born, lifelong student/teacher of yoga? Neil Kulkarni now dedicates his life and efforts to sharing his love of yoga practice as a mentor and teacher. I had the opportunity to share in that journey as his student in Clayton, California. I am a Michigan yoga teacher training student. My Michigan class time was interrupted by a scheduled trip to California. Clayton, California Yoga Shala arranged for me to sit in on 2 weekend classes during my visit. That is where I met Neil and my training changed forever. This experience has been stimulating and inspiring in so many ways. Neil makes it his responsibility to prepare each student to teach. Class time is spent learning the authentic form of yoga, encompassing all aspects of yoga life. We have all taken a variety of classes where we struggle week after week trying to perfect each pose. Neil's approach ensures you learn the pose correctly the first time. Along with weekly class time, Neil schedules individual student time to work on individual challenges. If you are looking to learn how to teach yoga as a complete practice or you wish to expand your studies beyond a traditional yoga teacher training course, contact Neil today. It is worth your time and effort to change the direction of your yoga practice in ways you never felt possible. I leave California and Neil's guidance with a new awareness of the wonderful opportunities offered by being a yoga teacher. I look forward to sharing the wonderful world Neil opened up to me these past few weeks. This message has been custom made by David J. Yarrow, 4476, Franklin Street, Ubley, Michigan, 484759896582133.